welcome to my channel. My name is Mia and today I'm here to discuss with you guys Unravel Me by Tahereh Mafi, and this is the second book of the Shatter Me trilogy. This being the second book in the trilogy, there is no way for me to talk about it without giving some spoilers as to how Shatter Me ended. So if you have yet to read Shatter Me and you don't like to be spoiled, perhaps you should not be watching this video. That being said, I would try my hardest to not spoil much on this particular book. I won't tell, of course, the ending or what I would consider to be the big twist of the book or anything like that. Just thought I'd mention that before we get started. Now, this book picks up right where we left off in Shatter Me. Juliet had just shot Warner in order to escape, and she had rescued Adam, who was in a very, very bad situation. And together with Kenji and James, they escaped to Omega Point. She gets to meet Castle together with other people, members of Omega Point. She also gets to realize that they all have some sort of special power, just as she does. So it's a big discovery for her right at the end of Shatter Me that, you know, there are more people like her and that she's not alone. Her personality just changed rapidly there. In the very end of the book, she gets to feel kind of welcome and she starts to feel very positive, like maybe there is a place where she belongs, and that's kind of where he left off. And I was feeling very good about that because I wanted that change in her, and I really liked that aspect of the ending of Shatter Me. It was very satisfying for me, and I really wanted to pick up this book. So I started reading this book expecting the story to be like that and a more positive kind of feeling to it. I thought that there would certainly be some kind of war. I knew Warner wasn't going to give up the hunt for her, and I didn't know what else would happen throughout the story. But I have to admit, at the very beginning of the story, I was a bit frustrated with Juliet and a bit disappointed because the story starts and we basically took steps backwards when the story started, and she is feeling as she did throughout the first book. She is feeling that she can't really do much. She doesn't understand her powers. She feels very frustrated with herself. She feels scared of her abilities. She feels that everybody there is starting to fear her because apparently some rumors got out of why she was in the asylum to begin with and about her past, and that's something she fears enormously. She feels that everyone that will hear her past is going to instantaneously dislike her and instantaneously hate her or be afraid of her, which is even worse. She has been training with Castle, who is trying to help her understand what her power is and trying to figure out together with her how to control it and how to better use it so that she's not as scared and whatnot. However, she's making the entire training process a bit difficult, not intentionally. She's doing it without noticing. She keeps trapping herself back into her head and just locking herself there because that's her safe place. Also, she feels that everyone around her is starting to get frustrated with her, which they are, and that is just making her even more self-conscious of herself. She is not spending as much time with Adam. He's also doing his own training because shortly after they get to Omega Point, Castle discovers that Adam can touch Juliet, and at doing so, he is certain that Adam must have some kind of special power as well that allows him to have physical contact with her. So Adam is doing a series of training and experiments, and he's doing tests to discover what his ability may be. And this has caused distance in between them because he is so busy with his training, and so is she, that they barely ever get to see each other. When they see each other, of course, they are still in love with each other and all of that, but she is noticing some changes in Adam. Like, she thinks that he is sort of very quiet in a way, like he's just secluded into himself. She feels that he's being cautious somehow, and she's noticing this. She keeps asking him how he feels, and she keeps asking him if he's doing okay, because she has this feeling, you know, when you just have a feeling that something is not quite right, but you can't really figure out what it is, or maybe you have an idea but you're trying to ignore it because that's not that's not the actual answer you want. So something like this is going on between the two of them. On top of that, James is also keeping his distance from her. She barely sees him, and she knows that he must have heard from the other kids that he hangs out with, or somebody else in Omega Point that is rumoring all these things about her. So she feels that he heard them and that he is afraid of her, or that he hates her, or something along the line of that. And all of these different events happening have made her backstep on her attitude. So now she feels again like she's hated and lonely, and she spends a lot of time in her own thoughts, in her own head. So she's not really making new friendships, she's not getting to know anybody, which is not helping her situation. Also, Castle feels that the war is coming and that she really has to try harder. He is kind of putting some pressure on her. He's trying to be patient and respectful of her needs and her privacy and understand her situation, but at the same time he's himself worried and concerned and frustrated. So it's starting to show, and all of these things have all of them very kind of on edge and stressed out, which is how I was feeling at the beginning of the story. And I think about it this way: this girl has been mistreated, feared, abused, and her life has been so horrible. She has gone through a series of very, very bad situations, and she has so many traumatic experiences that in reality is very difficult for somebody that has gone through all of that to act tough and strong and, oh, I'm so powerful, you know, like it's very difficult. I know that a lot of people wish she would act that way, but I feel that Tahereh kept true to what it would be like if somebody goes through something such as your parents absolutely hating you, abusing you, basically discarding you. You will take years to recover, and I don't think anyone will actually fully recover for it. I feel you still have scars that you will carry with you, and I can understand that from her life. So I was patient with her, but still a little frustrated. And there's actually a scene or two where Kenji, who is a character that has grown enormously throughout this book, he becomes such an important person and empowering image on this place that my entire perspective on him changed. Although I did like him from the beginning, but now I really, really like him. I feel he's just, wow, he's a wonderful character, and I've really grown to love him. There's a scene where he's giving her tough love, and he's basically telling her that she is not the only one that is suffering, she's not the only one that has had a hard life, and that she has to pull herself together because he's tired of parenting her and he's tired of trying to pick her up. Like, she has to be tougher than this. And it's just along the line of that, you know, obviously I don't know word by word, but it was such a good scene because I had a mixture of emotions. I could certainly feel his frustration, and everything he was saying was so right, but at the same time I could feel her shame and her all of a sudden self-awareness of how she's acting, and all of these feelings. You know, it's like when your dad or your mom comes to you and they're like telling you, you know, you disappointed me, like, you know, that feeling that you get, and it's just so shameful, like, oh my god, you know, like that feeling. I was feeling that as well, and that is one of the things I really do like about Tahereh Mafi's writing style. I know that this is not a kind of style for everybody, and I know that some people won't like it, but I myself absolutely loved the writing style. I like the whole poetic kind of writing style, and it is pretty negative for the most part. I mean, the train of thoughts are kind of on the pessimist side, like, oh, I feel that, you know, I've disappointed them, and how could I do something like this, how could it be so selfish, you know, that kind of train of thought. We always have a little world inside our heads, and I feel that her depiction of that was really good. Actually, I enjoy it a lot. I know it's not for everybody, and the crosswords, of course, continue on this story just as they did on Shatter Me. The repetition of words also continue. Aside from getting to meet other characters from Omega Point in this book, we also get to know more about Warner in this story, and that he's a character that I really do like, and I'm liking him more and more as the story progresses, because I feel he's like an onion. He's got so many layers to himself, and I personally really like him. I disagree with many things that he does, but I like him more and more as the story goes on. In this story, there is also a love triangle, and on Shatter Me, although I like Warner, I was definitely on Adam's team, but then towards the end, my team kind of changed and I was rooting for Warner because I've grown to like him so much. Warner's father ends up having to make an entrance into the story. He is such a horrible person, and oh my god, did I hate his guts throughout the entire thing. That's a villain you just strictly hate. He was introduced and there were some things that happened in this story that were kind of shocking to me. In my opinion, at least I didn't see them coming. Also, there is some reason to why Juliet was feeling that Adam was acting strangely. Basically, there is a reason why their relationship is just wobbling and is not strong, and things will happen because of this. I mean, I could understand Adam's actions towards the end, but at the same time I was a bit disappointed. That's all I'm gonna say. I was a little disappointed with his actions, although I could understand them. There was so much action going on and it was a very good story. I actually really enjoyed it, regardless of the little times that I was frustrated with this or that character. I thought that there was quite a lot of character development. I saw more character development in this book on Juliet's side that I did on Shatter Me, even though it started kind of the same. And also, obviously, Warner, as I already mentioned, developed enormously. You get to know Adam a little bit more. It really does keep me just page turning. Like, I need to know what's gonna happen next. I'm telling you, I was reading this book until like 6 in the morning. I just couldn't put it down. As I got deeper into the story, things started to pick up and things started to change, and I started to see changes that I really wanted to see, and I started to see changes that I was not expecting. And in the end, I decided to give this book 5 stars. I also got more world development from this book, which was very nice, and I'm very excited to see where the story leads and what is going to happen next. I hope I'm not disappointed on the last book, but so far I'm really enjoying the story. That is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you very soon in another video.